Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and connoisseurs of the written word. The word we are going to discuss today comes from the scientific field of botany, the study of plants, botany. I know, many people don't like science, people don't like scientific terminology, but nonetheless, I'm going to discuss a word from botany because it has such poetic implications. Science is beautiful. I don't know why people don't like it, but many don't. They find it too cold. But cold is precisely the trait we are going to discuss today, cold beauty. Okay? So before we discuss uh, the word, the relevant word, let us look at a rose. Okay? Now, all flowers are more or less beautiful. I mean, there's no such thing as an ugly flower. Some flowers may be a bit gaudy, a bit tacky, but ever since the gymnosperms were replaced by the angiosperms several 100 million years ago, we've had a flowery world. It wasn't always so. At the time of the gymnosperms, there were literally no flowers at all on the planet, not one. And then bang, once the angiosperms took over, flowers were everywhere. And we're glad for it. They're beautiful, they lift our soul. So it's just not bees and hummingbirds and other insects that find flowers beautiful. We humans find them beautiful also. And certainly the most beautiful flower, and this is by common consensus. I mean, most people are agreed on this one point. The most beautiful flower, and all flowers are beautiful, but the most beautiful flower is unquestionably the rose. Why is the rose as beautiful as it is? As I said, all flowers are beautiful. So obviously, in order for the rose to be even more beautiful than already beautiful flowers, it must be beautiful in some odd, strange, unusual way. And that can be understood when you look at schematic, the schematic of the rose. This whole thing here is a schematic of a rose, and that's why rose schematic. Okay, so if you look at a schematic of a rose, you find that unlike other flowers, these worlds around it, these worlds around it tend to be like straight lines. You have a straight line and then another straight line like this, another straight line like that, another straight line like that. So the flower is extremely angled and articulated. It doesn't have the worlds that other flowers have. Other flowers have kind of rounded worlds. Okay, each of these rounded things here is called a whorl, WHORL. So most other flowers have petals in their inflorescence that are a bit more rounded. Okay, the rose is unusual it is a flower that loves straight lines. It's very unusual. Straight lines are very rare in nature. Actually, look around you. You'll find it difficult to find a straight line. Even trees which are supposed to be straight usually canter a little bit, or rather are angled a little bit. So this is what makes a rose so beautiful. It's kind of mathematical. It's a kind of a mathematical beauty because it's composed of straight lines. One, two, three, four, multiple worlds, nested in each other, and and it gives the flower a very compact appearance. So the rose is not only a beautiful flower; it's a compactly beautiful flower. There's nothing gaudy about it. There's nothing tacky about it. And if you have a red rose, red is such a solemnizing color, such a deep color that it adds to the solemnity of a rose. Okay, so basically, a rose is no ordinary beauty. It's a cold beauty. It has a kind of cold beauty, the way mathematics has a cold beauty to it. It requires you to be a cold consciousness before you can truly appreciate the cold beauty of a rose. Okay, so that is the unusual feature about the rose. This lovely rectilinear whorls that are nested in each other, one inside each other like that, giving the flower a unique appearance that no other flower has. Really, I mean, other flowers have colors as beautiful as those of a rose, no question, and many even surpass the rose. The rose is more monotonic in its color. It's not very colored. It is of a singular color, as expected, because it is a minimalistic flower, a mathematically minimalistic flower. So it's not gaudy at all. Other flowers are so multicolored; they're almost gaudy. But in terms of sheer rainbow beauty, other flowers easily surpass the rose. But the rose is still the most beautiful flower, and for good reason. So when you're talking about the rose, we don't want to use this word whorl. It's too commonplace. I mean, all other flowers have whorls, these petals in their inflorescence that are rounded and which kind of encapsulate the center. And the center, you have these stamens and anthers bearing pollen. And when a bee visits a flower, it carries pollen to the flower, and the flower is fertilized, and so on. All this basic botany you studied in high school. So I'm not going to recapitulate all that. So this is the working part of the flower, the part that is involved in reproduction, but the beauty is in the surroundings. Okay, so for the rose, I don't want to use the word world. It is not. It is not a good enough word. So what is the other word? There's no space here. So let us go turn a page and see what that word is. Okay. So the word, a better word for world, WHORL, world, is this word. Okay, you can't see it, I think. Yeah, that's better. V E R T I C I L. Verticil. Okay, space is not okay. Verticil. 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 Okay, verticil. So this is the noun. It refers to that structure called the whorl. Multiple whorls, of course, make up the flower. But is there an adjective for it? Okay, so uh, verticil is a noun. What about the adjective for it? When you're talking about a flower that has whorls, of course, all flowers do. How do you describe it? That word is ver, V-R, Ticillate. Verticillated. Verticillated. That's an adjective. So you could describe a rose as a verticillated wonder. Okay, a wonder of worlds, a world of wondrous worlds, a verticillated wonder. We want, VAUNT, which means to praise in a way. We want a verticillated wonder. So when you look at this word verticil, it kind of sounds like what it is describing. When it's like vertical. So something cannot be vertical unless it is fairly straight. Okay. So because the rose is composed of a multitude of straight lines angled to each other and all nested in each other, verticil is quite the appropriate word for its words, which have this trait of being rectilinear, of being straight. Okay, so verticil sounds straight, just from the way it sounds. Verticil and verticillated also sounds very structured, very straight line like. So, to repeat once again, the rose is a verticillated wonder. The rose carries a cold beauty to it because of this mathematical aspect. The fact that it is composed of a nest of beautifully straight lines, beautifully angled to each other, beautifully enclosing the center of the inflorescence. So because it has a cold beauty, it would be nice if roses actually bloomed in winter. But they don't, of course. Roses don't bloom in winter. They're not like laurestine. Laurestine is a flower that actually blooms in winter. It's kind of a miracle, but roses don't bloom in November, December, January, or February. We wish they did because its cold beauty matches the coldness of winter, the cold silences of winter, and the two would match very well. So the cold beauty of the rose matching the gelid genius of January. Okay, Gelid. Gelid also means cold. The gelid genius of January. January, of course, is a winter month in the northern hemisphere, not in the southern hemisphere, of course, but in the northern hemisphere, that's a really cold month. And the rose, were it to bloom in January, would match the gelid genius of January. Okay, so a little bit of alliteration there. The lovely rose, the ravishing rose, the rose of boreal beauty, the cold beauty of the rose. You could use a whole bunch of uh, eulogizing terms with regard to the rose. You don't get tired of the rose. The beauty is so cold that you cannot get blasé to it. It's always a refreshing sight. There are entire encyclopedias devoted just to roses. I have one. I actually bought one just because I wanted to know all the various forms that a rose could possibly take. And my God, you wouldn't believe it. The roses you see in the supermarket or in the more professional flower shop are just the tip of the iceberg. There's an entire ocean of types of roses out there, and I'm sure your library would probably stock an encyclopedia of roses. And if you happen to have some free time, please do check out the the range of this cold wonder called the rose. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we'll stop here for today with these two words: verticil, verticil, and verticillated, verticillated. If you find it, if you find the verticillated word too long, you can actually eliminate the D at the end. For instance, if I remove this D, if I remove this D completely, you would have the word verticillate. That is also an adjective, and it means exactly what verticillated means. So verticillate is more compact. It's as compact as a rose is. So when describing the rose, you may want to use the word verticillate. It's a bit more elegant compared to verticillated. So you could say the rose is a verticillate wonder, a verticillate beauty, a mathematical, a mathematical beauty of verticillated wonder, or a mathematical beauty of verticillate wonder. Okay, I'll say it again, ladies and gentlemen. We'll stop here for now. And in the future, I'll try and include a couple more scientific words that have all these poetic ramifications. All scientific words are actually deeply poetic if you look below the surface, even their equations. But since most people are not interested in that kind of a ultra cold beauty, I will only pick out those words whose beauty is a bit more evident and obvious, such as verticillate. Okay, I'll stop here. Bye for now.